What's up, everybody? Peter Exodus O'Coffer here. Welcome to another edition of my YouTube channel, Hit Songs, the podcast. This is the music appreciation area of the podcast, and this is focusing on more recent songs. So the kind of, I have my classic song stuff I'm doing, and I'm going to focus with hit songs, more recent songs. So today, I am focusing on the one and only Drake, also known as Aubrey Graham. And, Drake is a force of nature. I do a lot of stuff on branding. So what's Drake's brand? I mean, Drake's brand is pretty simple. Drake makes good music. If you go back to the ZZ Top, where Let Your Works, that should be at the very top of the list when it comes to branding, and that's Drake. It's music. The contribution that Drake has made to music history is he brought pop songwriting to hip hop more so than anybody else. So hip hop, the songwriting was, strongly influenced by James Brown and a real stripped down kind of sound. And it's worked, and I love, a lot of those songs. But he essentially brought, the foundation of pop songwriting, comes out of the Beatles, Elvis, and Motown, and he brought that to hip hop, and it's very prevalent in the song that I'm covering today, God's Plan. But we got to do the numbers first, when we talk about Drake. So, where does he stand up? So, the most number one songs of all time. The Beatles are first with 20, and that's pretty amazing because the Beatles only had 63 singles, so about a third of their singles hit number one. Number two is Mariah Carey at 19, Elvis Presley's at 18, Rihanna's at 14, Michael Jackson 13, Madonna, and the Supremes at 12, and Whitney Houston and Drake at 11, and Stevie Wonder and Janet Jackson at 10. So, that's, I believe the top 10, Drake gets in there at 11, 20, the Beatles on top. So Drake's probably not going to top that. And it's, which is fine because Drake's numbers everywhere else are tremendous. So Drake, ironically, has the most number two albums in history. He's tied with Taylor Swift at 7. So again, Elvis has 5. Creedence Clearwater Revival has 5. Interesting list. This is where Drake starts to dominate, though. Top 5 singles of all time. Drake is first at 30. The Beatles are second at 29. Madonna's third at 28. Mariah Carey's at 27. Janet Jackson 26. Taylor Swift, Rihanna 24. Elvis at 21, and then Michael, Justin Bieber, and Stevie Wonder are 20. So he's already on the top when it comes to top 5 singles. Just going through the numbers, you got to. And this is where Drake really starts to dominate. Top 10 singles, Drake 59. Taylor Swift in second place, 40. So he's almost 20 up on her. Madonna's at 38. The Beatles, 34. Rihanna, 32. Michael Jackson, 30. Elton John did him earlier at 29. And Stevie Wonder, Mariah Carey, 28. Janet Jackson, 27. Most top 40 entries, again, Drake is dominating this. Most songs in the top 40 all time. 158, Taylor Swift second, 104. I mean, that's a huge gap. Lil Wayne's at 87, Elvis 81, Kanye 70, West 70, 71 or yay. Nicki Minaj 66, Elton John 59, Eminem, Rihanna 52. And then most top 100 entries. Again, Drake dominating. 278. The Glee cast is second at 207. Third, Taylor Swift, 188. Lil Wayne, Fourth at 183. The Futures at 152. Kanye West at 141. Lil Baby at 132. Nicki Minaj 125. Chris Brown 113, and Elvis at 109. Interesting numbers there. And let's put it in a little bit of context, because as I said, the Beatles had 20 number ones with only 63 singles, and until the streaming era, you could only chart with singles. I know a lot of Prince and Michael Jackson fans got upset when Lil Wayne passed him up. I think Lil Wayne has as many top 40 songs as Prince and Michael combined. But again, you put an album on the streaming service, and whatever people listen to, that's what charts. And so Taylor Swift just put, literally off her new album in the last 6 weeks, put 10, owned the top 10 for the first time. All 10 songs on the Billboard chart were Taylor Swift songs. Now, second is Drake with 9, and Drake with 7. But that's unheard of, and the Beatles, couldn't do that because they didn't release every song on their albums as singles. So it's interesting how, it's a different era. The other thing, I talked a little bit about, and the downfall of the album and Does Today's Music Suck, about, the problem with the album, and it's more of a single-focused market. Well, Drake is interesting because he's kind of a hybrid, because he does put out kind of old-school albums, but he also does, he's very singles-driven, and Drake is also, doing collaborations with other artists often. Drake has the record for the most consecutive weeks in the Hot 100. From 2009 to 2017, he had a song in the Hot 100, 431 weeks. Nobody's close. And that's Drake's hybrid model. So he's doing albums, and people are always coming to Drake like, hey, let's collaborate in the songs. I know more than likely it's going to get radio play and it's going to hit. And so, going back, Drake had 2021 had 9 songs at one time in the top 10, and in 2018 had 7. Spotify's top 100 streams, these are all billion clubbers. Justin Bieber has 6, Post Malone and Ed Sheeran have 5, and Drake has 3 on that list. So how many, as of November 2022, there are 315 songs on Spotify that have over 1 billion streams. And Drake is tied with Ed Sheeran with 10, and he's obviously he's the only hip-hop artist there with 10. So 315, Drake has 10. So I had to do the numbers. I had to go there to look at, Drake's dominance. I mean, Drake, we're living, we hear about the Beatles from, our parents and grandparents, but, Drake is the Beatles of this generation. He's putting up the numbers, and he's putting up huge numbers. Now, and he's young, will he catch, catch Mariah Carey, who's one behind the Beatles? He's at, I think 10 or 11, maybe he won't, but he owns all the other records. He owns the top 5, the top 10, the top 40, and the top 100. And again, it is a different way of tabulating because everything now counts. So he's, at some point I'm going to do what I'll call crown the champions when it comes to sales of different eras. And it's hard to compare cross eras because, it was pretty simple back in you sold X amount of records, but how do you, the formula, I think it's simple, but even today, I think that Spotify and Apple, if I'm not mistaken, they have one way of measuring the sale of an album, and I believe YouTube and some of the others have a different way. And I wouldn't be surprised if this has changed a little. I know how albums were counted throughout the 2000s and the post-Napster era have changed, via Billboard as well. So it makes it hard to compare different eras, the album era and the singles era with the streaming era, because, what's the equivalent to, buying an album for, back in the record era, $9.99, and in the CD era, $19.99. I mean, how many streams? What is that? What does that come out to? So anyway, that's. But I'll get into that, down the road in another episode. So God's Plan dropped on January 14th, 2018. It was off the album Scorpion. The song is a little. I like the lyrics. I mean, it deals in Drake's own way with fame and fate, but it is kind of opaque too. You're kind of like, huh? Well, okay. I mean, the lyrics are strong, but if you're a boomer, we're used to different, boomers and Gen X. We're used to, we grew up with John Lennon, we grew up with Bob Dylan, we grew up with Kurt Cobain and Prince, and they used a lot of metaphors and a lot of symbolism, and the artists these days don't do that, and Drake's not doing that, but I still like the lyrics to this song for this era. You gotta sort of judge music in its era, and I really do kind of like, there is some symbolism when he says, I love my bed and my mama, because to me that symbolizes family and, rest, and fame can be very trying. You're always in the public eye. So Drake is doing symbolism, but he's doing it differently on this song than the great artists we grew up on. So let's see. The song had, I think, 6 songwriters. Yep, 6 songwriters. Was in E minor. Interestingly, I mean, usually the minor scales, you think of melancholy and blues, but this is a sort of an upbeat song. But he's doing it in E minor, 77 beats per minute, which is for a hip hop songs traditionally have been from 70 to 110 beats per minute, so this is kind of on the low end. You get in a trap has, they can be down there from 70 to 110, but they can be in the 140s and 180s, so that's one of the different things going on with trap. So God's Plan broke Apple and Spotify's one-day streaming records. And ended up being Billboard's #1 song for 2018 and was the most streamed song of 2018. So why do I love this song? It's just, uplifting. It's almost like a gospel rap song to me. And there really is a lot going on. And in preparation, I've never bothered watching the video, but I watched the video and was blown away by the video. And it just adds power to the song as far as I'm concerned. So let's talk about the video for a minute. It cost just under $1 million to make. And I love it because, here we are sitting in the 1% era when it comes to wealth, at least in America. I think it's not as bad in Europe and, Korea and Japan, but, the bifurcation of wealth and the 1%, the share of their wealth growing in America over the last 20, 30, 40 years compared to, the past. And so remember the V for Vendetta mass when people were protesting against the 1%. And Drake kind of deals with that in this video. Because he starts out in the hood with poor black people, and Drake's in his mansion. And so then he goes to the toy store, gives stuff away, gives cash to needy families of color, most are African American. I think a couple would be Hispanic. And you see their reactions. He gives a car away, and he's also, in a jewelry store. And so it's about giving, and it's about charity. Um, you know, Gen Z, Gen X and Boomers might, well, he's just being ostentatious. Prince and Michael gave a lot to charity, but they didn't film it. Well, I think it's, first of all, every generation's different, but, in this era where clearly, and the numbers are there and it's been publicized of the 1% getting richer, and Drake's going out there and leading by example, and I don't know what the charity numbers are, and are the wealthy giving more than they were in the past, but I have no problem with Drake setting an example and doing that. I think it's a good thing, particularly, as I said, in this the 1% era of this wealth distribution. So I love the video. I love the message. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So I love a lot of Drake's songs. I think he's already one of the best songwriters in history, because when you impact a genre like he did, bringing the pop writing style to hip hop. And then the numbers speak for themselves. Everybody loves to hate on the big dog, and people like, well, it's Drake hip hop and to do well. The numbers speak for themselves. Is he pop? Whatever. Drake is Drake, and Drake is dropping huge numbers. He's there with the Beatles. He's there with Elvis. He just is. You can't argue with the numbers, and he has a great team of writers around, songwriters around him, and again, when it all comes down, great music, is predicated and based on good songwriting, and he's one of the best. So yeah, looking forward to doing some more hit songs, the podcast. This is my first one, the one and only Drake. Drake's brand again, making damn good music. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hey, I got 4 albums on this YouTube channel. Check them out. I'm also on the streaming services. I write science fiction fantasy, got 2 novels on Amazon and a novella. So check out my stuff, and I'm working on more episodes. So enjoy, this is the music appreciation portion of the channel. Enjoy, and I'll be back soon.